I decided that I was gonna do this live with the camera facing the opposite way, because when I look at myself, I get super distracted. So yeah, I don't even know if you guys are gonna be able to see anything, but if you aren't able to see anything, then you'll just skip. So it works out pretty well. But yeah, I just I want to come on because I yeah, I always appreciate coming on if I feel like there's something that is like legitimately enhanced my life. Um, and yeah, like just in the hope that maybe it will, yeah, just like I guess an offering of love, like of just simple love. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right into it. So yeah, I always like to close my eyes at the beginning, just to really like be intentional about dropping into the heart space. So speaking from just more of an emotional state that feels more loving, that feels more aligned, that's something more anxious, I guess. So yeah, I just ask beautiful source, beautiful God, just allow whatever comes through to positively benefit whoever is watching on the other side of the screen, and help me to enjoy expressing my own truth. Yeah, just allow me to be a vessel for this beauty to come through. All right. So what I want to talk to you about today is seasons. So back in indigenous Northwestern Europe, there was this group of well, I guess it was back in the olden days, you would say. It was back in like the Middle Ages. There was a group of indigenous white people, like a group of indigenous Europeans called the Druids. And the Druids were very, very clear. They were mystics, and they believed in living in communion with the earth and communion with nature. And they were spiritual leaders, and they believed that if you wanted to be a Druid, you had to live alone in nature for a period of time. And they believe that the best way to understand the self is through nature, as we are pieces of nature. Now, nature all has these hidden laws that it's not screaming at us. It's just there. Like, gravity. Gravity is just there. Like things attract other things, and um, and the birds sing. Like that's more of a an abstract law. Like why do the birds sing? It's like for plenty of reasons, right? But the law that I want to talk about today is I'm going to call it the law of seasons, or maybe the law of one. But really, the law of seasons is what it's feeling more right, and that is this cycle that everything in nature participates in, which is the cycle of death and rebirth. And I think that it can be really easy to be swept up in this notion that that death is the enemy of life, that we're trying to avoid endings, and that we're trying to avoid moving on, or we're trying to avoid because death is not just physical, right? Like it can be the death of a relationship, it can be the death of a job, it can be the death of a certain phase in our life, it can be the death of childhood, it can be the death of, if you're a parent, it can be the end of that phase where you were living with your kids. And yeah, and it can be really, really hard to understand why beautiful things have to come to an end. And that's exactly what I want to talk about today. So if we look at nature, we can understand that it's always in this cycle of new beginnings and endings. So, there's spring, and spring is full of new life. It's, if you're in the northern hemisphere, it's right now. There's flowers are blooming, everything is blossoming, new life is springing forth, and in a wonderful way. It's full of all these new colors, and yeah, and that life is taking fold. And that life is going to continue into the summer. It's going to reach a stabilizing point, and then in the fall, it's going to let go and go into a dormancy in the winter, for it only to have a rebirth in a new spring. And so the spring that we're experiencing right now actually began this past fall. It really began when last year's life was being let go of. And in the same way that these new beginnings are so beautiful, they couldn't happen with new endings. And so what does this mean? Like how is this relevant for our own lives? I think that this is incredibly relevant because we as humans, we are just like nature. We are constantly giving rise to new beginnings and new beauty, new jobs, new relationships, new love, new life, new hobbies, new music, new art, new self-expression. There's nothing like it. Like, oh, it's just one of the most beautiful things ever. But before any of that was able to take place, anything that we've experienced, anything new that we've ever experienced only took place because something else came to an end. And it could be like, oh my God, these new friends that I'm meeting right now, it only took place because I stopped spending as much time with these old friends. Or it could be that the job that I'm in now that I actually really, really, really like it's actually really chill. That could only take place because you were unhappy in your last job. Or your last job ended, whether it was your choice or not. And so as we go through life, we experience life in feeling states before we experience it any other way. We have feeling states that are really, really dissonant. We have anger, and we have fear, and we have rage, and we have even boredom. We have despair. We have complacency. Well, complacency is kind of, let's put that off to the side for now, but like boredom, I think, is a better way to describe it. We have all these feeling states: anxiety, feeling anxious. We have all these feeling states that are dissonant. We don't want to be experiencing them. And I believe that those dissonant feeling states, especially if you find yourself in a season where you're in a lot of letting go and a lot of change, it's really likely that you're experiencing a lot of those negative emotions, a lot of those dissonant emotions that are really, really uncomfortable to be experiencing. Because the chances are is that your life is going to look a lot different than it is right now. And so if it's like, oh my God, I don't know why I like all these friends that I used to get along with, we're just not in touch anymore, or everyone moved, or I feel so alone, like I don't feel that connected to the people around me, or maybe current relationships that you're in, you just suddenly don't feel as close with them. Like, oh my God, I used to feel really, really close with my dad, but lately I've just been feeling like he doesn't understand me at all. And it's like, why is this happening? Why is this happening? And then you start to feel anxious, and you start to play God, and you try to make something work that maybe it's calling actually for something different. But the point of me saying this is that, I think especially like relationships are really the best mirror with it, is that, oftentimes if we're feeling dissonant emotions, actually all the time, if we're feeling dissonant emotion states, it is literally the energy of change in our lives. That's all that it is. And as we know from spring, how beautiful it is, change is a good thing. New life is one of the most wonderful things ever. Like, I'm like, when that amazing new song comes out and you're just like, holy shit, like, how did they think of this? Like, this is, oh my gosh. Or like a new dance or a new movie that you're just like for me, like, I loved Everything Everywhere All at Once that came out a few years ago, and I was like, holy moly, like, this movie is so good. It's so good. Or it could be like a story like that's amazing. It's like, oh my gosh, like they're about to come out, with that TV series about Harry Potter where every season's going to be a book, which, let me know how you guys feel about that. But I think that's exciting too, so, and that's a new beginning. And yeah, so new beginnings are a good thing, and we can only ever come to new beginnings if we allow the dissonant feeling states to birth something new in our lives. And so if we run around thinking that these dissonant emotions that we're feeling, this despair, this anxiety, this rage, this anger, if we run around pretending like it shouldn't exist, if we run around pretending like it shouldn't happen, like, oh my God, like, no, I shouldn't feel angry, or no, I shouldn't feel like super despair, or I shouldn't feel super depressed, like, we're going to miss the point. And I think that it's very common for us to avoid these feelings because we're not really sure what to do with them. Like, I think that that's what actually our society is really right about, is that nobody wants to feel these emotions, But then I think it gets tricky is that a lot of times that becomes avoidance, and avoidance actually just makes it worse. Because the thing about our dissonant feeling states is they're divine. They're designed to be experienced, and they're designed to be felt because they're here to rebirth something. They're here to catalyze change in our lives. So, yeah, they're important to be felt, and they're important to be honored, and they're important to be You could even just journal about them, like journal about what you're feeling, like, and just in the same way that fall doesn't happen all at once and spring doesn't happen all at once and winter doesn't even happen all at once. You can just start moving it day by day, like one day at a time, and just move a little bit forward and a little bit forward. And the thing about dissonant feeling states is that if you knew what the new was that it was birthing, you wouldn't be feeling these things. Like, for example, if you're sitting on your couch and you're uncomfortable, there's no anxiety about that. Like, you're uncomfortable and you make a change. Boom, like you adjusted the position of your foot. The gap of our human suffering sounds so dramatic. The gap of when we feel prolonged pain, it's because our soul, our innermost being, is asking us to make a change that we don't know what it looks like. And so if we don't take the time to slow down and honor the pain and really feel it, which actually ends up feeling really good. And it doesn't mean we have to do it alone. It doesn't mean that we have to isolate doing it. It doesn't mean we have to like lock ourselves in a room until we like figure it out. Like maybe it does. You know yourself best, but I've come to realize for me it usually helps to have a nice balance of paying attention to what I'm needing. Like, it could be that to move these dissonant feelings, to be with these dissonant feelings, I actually just want a friend to listen to me, or maybe I want to just distract for a while. Like, maybe I've spent enough time with it, or maybe I want to do some art and I want to express the way that I'm feeling, or some movement, like do some yoga or some qigong or dance your booty off, you know, like. But anyway, so to get to the main ethos is, it is so important to recognize that every single human, we go through seasons of our life as well. And these seasons aren't here to be rushed through, they're here to be honored. Like, whatever you're grieving right now, if you're feeling a lot of dissonant emotions, it's because you're grieving something that was really, really beautiful and that really, really freaking mattered to you. And it would be a fucking disservice to not feel those feelings, because it did matter. It did matter that you experienced that, and it sucks that it's not this way anymore. And yeah, and it could be something like, I mean, it could be the most simple thing. Like, it was like a sense of security that you felt that you're realizing is expanding. Like, it might look something different than you thought. Like, yeah, like the sense of security maybe you felt not having to worry about. Well, anyway, it's for you to figure out what these things are that are actually upsetting you. And to go into the next phase of what I wanted to talk about is that if we can look at fall and spring of two sides of the same coin, fundamentally, that fall begins in the spring and spring is the beginning of fall. I kind of like better that fall is the beginning of spring. But if we can look at it that way, we can see that actually our resonance, like our joy, our bliss, our peace, our beauty, our authenticity, our freedom, it's actually hidden in our dissonance. It's hidden within it. And it's literally saying that whatever it is that is causing you to be upset, the opposite thing is what would actually be bringing you ease. It would be bringing you relief. It would be bringing you peace. And I think there's so much peace to be found in just understanding that dynamic. So I want to walk you guys through an example. Oh my gosh, yeah, relationships are just such a good example, but I think a job is such a good example of something too. So say right now you're in a job where you're incredibly unhappy and you just feel so worthless. Like, you just don't feel fulfilled with what you're doing. And it's like, you're like, oh, like I need to make money. And like this job, like, oh, like it's making me money right now. I don't know what else to do. Like, I've thought about getting another job, but like I would have to uproot so much of my life. And it's like, it's just so much work. It's so hard to do. It's like, you're freaking out. And so we can see, like, okay, like this is a lot of distance that I'm feeling right now. And yeah, like that just really, really sucks. And maybe that's all it is for the day. Maybe it's just acknowledging that the way that you feel is really, really hard and just honoring that. And then I think eventually, like, as you begin to honor it, you can start to realize that, like, yeah, like, if the dissonance is because I'm feeling unfulfilled at work, then maybe the resonance is I'm being called to do something that's more authentic, that's more me. And it doesn't mean that like something is wrong with you for feeling unfulfilled in a certain aspect of your life. But what it does mean is that you could be finding more fulfillment. You could be finding more of yourself. You could be finding more authenticity in another facet of your life. So it's literally calling you into something new, and it's hard to listen to it when we are surrounded with limiting beliefs. Like, I think limiting beliefs kind of sounds not right to me too. Let me find another word. Yeah, like opinions, like for perspectives, opinions. It can be really easy to just think that like like this is life, like life is like people are just unhappy at work, and it's like if you think that, it just automatically becomes true for you. But I think that the thing that we find time and time again with the universe is that it's just so much more open than we think. And a lot of times this thing that we're asking for, it's just an idea, it's just a story that we think that whatever it is that we actually do want doesn't exist. And you can literally ask yourself, like if you're listening to this right now afterwards, you can write down the things that are upsetting you, and you can honor them, like honor the fuck out of them, like not in a way that's like these shouldn't exist. Like, I'm really happy that these are here, and what are they asking of me? Like, what if they were to be showing me something about me or something about my life? What would it be that they're showing me? And then all of a sudden, you can just start to think of the opposite of what you're experiencing. Like, okay, I feel like shit right now. Well, like, what would it feel like to feel good? Or I feel really anxious right now. What would it feel like to feel at ease? What would it feel like to be like comfortable just showing up exactly as I am? Like, maybe that's possible too. And then you can start to play with it, and you can start to really have fun with it. And it can be intimidating because it's like, I think all of us grow up in a world where it can be really hard to be ourselves. It can be really hard to be authentic. Like, it's easy to be rejected for someone that you're not, but when you show up as yourself, it's very vulnerable. um, but I think that this is the time that the nature is asking for more of us to show up as we are. Like, thinking of us as little kids, like we all come into the world just so innocent and so pure, and I think that that's who all of us are at the core. I think somewhere along the way we compromise that because it can just be really, really hard to be ourselves in a world where a lot of people are living in a way that's very shut off. And I think that we've gotten to a point in the human journey where we just don't have to do that anymore. And I think that more interestingly is that I think that we're really being called by the earth, honestly, but really, I think it's like a subconscious drive in our world that we kind of have to do things differently. We just do. Like, the earth is at a point where it's falling out of balance, and it's a beautiful thing because it's making us radically re-examine the way that we're doing things as a world. And yeah, my opinion is that I think that the thing that we're being called to radically re-examine is that there was actually never anything wrong with us, that we never had to perform, that all of us came into this world inherently knowing how to be ourselves and how to live authentically, and we don't have to like compromise that in order to just survive. Like, the survival based energy and the I want to be alive based energy, being ourselves does not have to be at the expense of belonging. It doesn't have to be at the expense of survival. um so yeah, I hope that this made a lot of sense. um and I think it's really, really important that we take the time to honor our dissonance. And clearly, the world is going through some big changes right now, and it's really, really special that all of us are a part of it. And so I hope I'm taking the time to try to honor what these dissonant emotions are really calling me to do. Because I think that that is such a deeper law than any of the laws that humans have manufactured about, like, whatever it is. Like, maybe the law, like the norm in our society, is that you always have to be on, like you always have to be happy, or you always have to be in a good place, or you always have to be productive, or and that is not how nature works at all. Like, there would be no growth in our world if it didn't rain all the time. Like, there would be no new life. Like, there would never be any spring if there wasn't fall. Like, we got to stop like pretending that these laws that are all over the place, all over nature, that we're exempt from it, because we are nature. We are this universe, quite literally, in form. And so yeah, I hope that you just have so much grace for yourself as you move through whatever season it is in your life, because it matters and you matter. So yeah, and it could look like something that you least expect, and that's part of the magic of existence. So have an open mind, root, just have an open mind. Know that you are inherently connected to this beautiful world. And I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.